and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. Well, the early voting numbers are in North Carolina, and a record number of people turned out. Let's talk about the numbers. The State Board of Elections says more than 4.2 million people came out to the polls in person. Now, that's more than 1 million more ballots cast than in 2020 when the previous early voting record was set. Combined with absentee ballots, nearly 57% of all registered voters in North Carolina have already cast their ballots. Now, with less than 48 hours until the polls opened on Election Day, both campaigns were back on the campaign trail with stops scheduled in North Carolina. Former President Donald Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, made the first appearance of the day in Lee County. WRAL's Carly Haynes talked to voters who came out to see him.
These seats were filled. The Trump campaign estimates roughly 1,700 people filled this venue.
This election is about giving the American people the leadership that it deserves.
With 2 days left to go, J.D. Vance spent part of his Sunday in Sanford.
And that's why we're here, is to remind you that we have got to win, not just the days before Election Day, because that's only half the battle, and I'm glad that we won it, but we got to win Election Day, too.
Many in these seats already voted and came in as Trump fans. Kim Rowland from Burlington is one of them.
I always voted for Trump since 2016.
She continues to go to rallies. This one is her third. If Trump loses, her faith in the results...
It's very thin. I have very little trust in the election system.
Tucker Maria feels the numbers are there to get to the finish line.
I don't think this one's going to be rigged. I think that if everyone shows out, we can do it, and we can probably win by at least a good chunk, especially North Carolina.
Together, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump Jr. spoke for 30 minutes. They drilled down on issues like tapping into American oil, securing the border, and improving the economy.
You guys have to be that catalyst for change to allow it to happen.
One of the final pushes to win over North Carolina. It's highly unusual for candidates to be coming to North Carolina this late in the campaign cycle. It's a sign that this race is close. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, Sanford.
Well, both presidential candidates and their running mates are campaigning today in the final push to Election Day. Former President Donald Trump was in North Carolina for the second day in a row, speaking at a rally in Lenoir County. He talked about the state's record early voter turnout, specifically praising voters in Western North Carolina for turning out amid Helene's devastation.
But the amazing thing is, with that devastation, the people in North Carolina got out and voted in record numbers. I can't believe it. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. And everything we've been fighting for so hard to achieve for the past 9 years, it all comes down to the next 2 days.
Okay, we found out Trump is headed to Macon, Georgia for his third rally of the day. He started in Pennsylvania this morning. Vice President Kamala Harris started her final Sunday campaigning in church with a stop in the swing state of Michigan. The Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ in Detroit heard a message of hope in Harris's brief remarks.
We face a real question. What kind of country do we want to live in? The great thing about living in a democracy, as long as we can hold on to it, is that we have the power, each of us, to answer that question. So I'll close by saying, let us answer then, not just with our words, but with our works. Not just with our faith, but with our feet as we walk to the polls.
Harris is making several stops in Michigan today, including in Pontiac and East Lansing. Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, is on his way to Gastonia for a rally. He was in Georgia earlier today with Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. Now, Walz had reassured voters, asking them not to get discouraged by polling results.
If you're on the polar coaster, oh, we're winning, oh, we're losing, oh, we're winning, get off the polar coaster. Get off the polar coaster and do something proactive on this. If you want to get rid of the anxiety, go vote. Go vote.
While in Georgia, Walz talked to student leaders from 4 historically black colleges and universities in Atlanta. Former President Donald Trump is continuing his fight to win North Carolina voters tomorrow with a rally in Raleigh. The Harris campaign will have several surrogates in our state tomorrow. First Lady Jill Biden, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, and Harris's sister, Maya Harris, will all be reaching out to North Carolina voters. And on election night, be sure to join us as the results come in. Starting at 7 p.m., WRAL News and NBC News will partner for results and analysis on local and national races. NBC will be tracking the national picture throughout the night on WRAL, and we'll bring you a wrap-up of the big local races during our 11 p.m. newscast.